one moment. So just... Let's see. Yep, that'll do it. Can I hear myself, though? Let's see. Yep. Okay. All right. It is Friday. One moment. There we go. Sorry. It is Friday, January 30th, 2026 at 5:02 p.m. Central Standard Time. And here we are reviewing the Fallout TV show, Season 2, Episodes 6 and 7. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I was going through the flu, and I was just definitely not up for it. Oh, got a cat. Okay. I've since then I've been working on this stuff a little bit. I did have some of this stuff ready to go last time, but I definitely was not fully ready. Basically, I got sick right after I finished typing up the full breadth of everything that happened in the episode, but I did not have anything else ready to go. So here we are, and in this opening scene here, we've got basically an average look into the daily life of Barb Howard. Now we're going to find out later that this is basically pre-Legion of Doom meeting, but let's just go ahead and go through this. So basically, she's got multiple meetings that she has throughout this one day that we get to see. I don't know if actually this is her average day, or if it is the case that there's normally fewer meetings or more meetings, or who she normally meets with. But today she meets with the marketing department, the engineering department, what's his name, Bud Askins, and then she also has a special meeting with Robert House, well, the fake Robert House, who the internet's been calling Bobby Apartment. So let's go ahead and take a look at this stuff. So basically the marketing team is complaining a little bit because they're like, okay, well, actually these guys aren't even marketing, they're the project managers, but they're discussing. Yeah, I was going to say Bud Askins did look a bit skinny. They're basically discussing the billboards that they're going to be putting up across Southern California, and they're saying that this is a 5 megaton blast. Sorry, let me get to the right screen there. There we go. But this is a 10 megaton blast, which marketing thinks looks better, but there won't be a 10 megaton blast. It's going to be, and yeah, there's Barb and Betty in the background taking notes. Betty Pearson, who eventually becomes the overseer of 33. It's going to be multiple 5 megaton blasts, and they're just not very happy with the way it looks. He says it's something like a huge number of puff clouds. I can't remember the exact terminology he uses for it. But I do love that throughout these scenes, they're sitting here eating as they're talking about the end of the world, and they're just casually going through all this stuff. You got Bud Askins, who's eating some French fries. We'll get to that in just a second. But so yeah, we get a nice view here of her having her meetings in here. And there we get to next the meeting with the engineering team, where they're discussing the water chips and the fact that they know they're going to fail, but they can tell which ones are going to fail and when, so they can use that to determine who gets water and for how long. So throughout all of this, Betty is just in the background taking notes, just, without any sort of real emotion or anything. Hey there, y'all. We got Benjin006 and Gingy119. Sorry, for a second there I saw the two J's there, and I was almost thinking it was the same person, but I realized immediately afterwards it was not. Can you not bite me? Sorry, I got a cat here who's a little excitable. So yeah. But yeah, I also loved the fact that we got Betty Pearson in this meeting where they're talking about the water chips failing when she directly experiences that. Yeah. So yeah, throughout this whole thing, Barb is kind of losing it a little bit too. But also right here we get the first view of Vault Boy in the background. At least this is my first recollection of seeing Vault Boy in the TV show. And like other than like after the war, and basically where it's clear it's that Cooper Howard's already been fired and replaced by the Vault Boy. So it seems. So I'm just gonna. We got 2 full episodes here. If you're here, I'm going to assume that you've seen them, or at the very least, you're not going to be worried about spoilers that are going to be going on here. Do you think anyone Vault-wise is outright evil other than Hank? I don't know. It's hard to say. We're going to have to see what Stephanie's up to with Hank's case. Because it's one of those things where just because someone has past trauma doesn't mean that they're not capable of evil. So, where was I? Okay. So I think that, and again, this is assuming that you're here because you're expecting there to be spoilers and stuff like that. I'm almost certain that everything related to the handoff of the cold fusion diode to the Enclave was something planned well in advance, and this is including every part that had Cooper involved. Cooper was not aware of it. I don't think Barb was aware of it either. But I do think that everything about it was specifically basically set up beforehand. I don't know why specifically they wouldn't just directly transfer it. I think maybe there had to be some semblance of an appearance of separation between Vault-Tec and the Enclave. But we'll see in the long run whether or not this is the case. But I mean, if that is the case, and if they were entirely knowing that Cooper Howard was not on board with the company's mission, and they figured that at some point he was going to figure out what was going on here, and if they figured that Barb Howard was also not on board, which they clearly seem to be aware that she's having her own misgivings, then I think it's entirely possible they were planning for the eventual replacement of Cooper Howard with Vault Boy, which is why we're starting to see him here in the background on this the Vault of the Future poster. But regardless, let's keep on moving here. So yeah, we got, again, like you said, skinny Bud Askins. He does seem skinnier in this than he did before. But yeah, he's just in here eating fries, talking about how they're missing out on the opportunity to charge their high-end subscribers for priority lanes on the highway, which I don't even know how that's supposed to work. Because I can't imagine in an apocalypse anyone caring who had priority as to who gets to use the freeway lanes to get out of the city. I assume that they don't really care about that either. He's just trying to sell it as an option, and they're not really going to do anything about it. Because they'd really have to like basically build a separate highway system, almost like Boring Company style thing, where they're literally just tunneling under parts of the city and stuff. I don't know how else that would have worked, but let's see here. I don't think that anyone but Stephanie is outright evil. Yeah, we'll see. And again, we'll see exactly what Stephanie's up to. Because, I mean, she's definitely done some stuff with, at the very least, Woody, and obviously the murder she committed on her way into the country. But, okay. So, yeah, Barb here is losing it a little bit. And I think is just kind of tired of dealing with Bud Askins, I think is what that is right there. But, yeah, then we have, again, Bobby Apartment show up. And Hank comes in because Hank is in love with Robert House. And along with that, I think he wants to be in on this meeting regarding this piece of technology, because I do think that there is going to be some sort of connection between Hank McClane and the Enclave. Sorry, 1 second here. Getting my G Fuel together. G Fuel affiliate. If you use my code iCartographer, you get 20% off at checkout, and I get a little bit potentially from G Fuel. But yeah, so you can see that Robert House, or the double, I mean, Bobby Apartment, not really a very big fan of Hank McClane. I don't know if he's had past dealings with him or not, but the look on his face when he sees Hank McClane coming in is pretty funny. And Hank is actually the one who says that he specifically asked to be able to take notes on this meeting. So, but we advance through this, and yeah, she's obviously as well annoyed by Hank McClane's eagerness to be in on this. So yeah, then we have the first view. Like, not really. Obviously, we saw it in the very first episode, but this is the oldest view, I think, unless we assume that that first view with Robert House, the actual Robert House, was actually the original one. And I believe he calls it the Automated Man. And basically the line that he uses is, I've tried to make my robots more lifelike. The alternative is also a possibility. And so, yeah, Hank, again, is enthralled by this until he gets backed down by Barb. And Barb's like, what do you want to do with this? I mean, we got all these vaults you could use this in as part of your experiment. And he's like, no, 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 no. You guys are buying this from me in exchange for cold fusion. And so, yeah, he's like, oh, it's a little bit above your pay grade as to what I'm doing in my special project with cold fusion. And again, Hank is just still enthralled. Barb, again, has a little bit of a breakdown here. Starts freaking out. And basically can't stop thinking about what's going to happen to Janie and Cooper. Wonder what's going to happen to the double. So that's an interesting thought. Now, people have been saying that they believe that House is still alive from the way that we'll see things at the very end, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. In fact, I'm almost certain it's not the case. So in that, the last episode that we reviewed, which was 5, we saw House's arm sticking out of his capsule, indicating he was very likely dead. Now, whether or not that was House or maybe even the double, it's always possible that that was just the double, but... Alright. So yeah, we got her freaking out a bit. Alright, so we're back to Freeside, where the ghoul is still stuck on the pole at this point, reaching for his satchel and his little vials. Can't get anybody to help him. Like, literally people just keep walking by ignoring him. Even Dogmeat goes ahead and gets his hat for him. And at that point, that's when he starts snarling, and that's when Dogmeat runs off. You can see Dogmeat right over there in the corner. Non-canon, just FYI. I'm not sure what you mean by non-canon. Oh, you're saying the credits are not canonical. That's weird if that's the case. I don't know why you'd even put them in. But regardless. Okay. So we have, again, Cooper stuck on the pole. He's starting to go feral, and that's what's driven Dogmeat off. Is when he starts snarling, Dogmeat runs off with a hat. And he fights to get control of him again. Okay. And basically loses consciousness, and we get a view of Cooper back in the hotel room confronting Barb about what she said in the Legion of Doom meeting. He basically recounts their engagement story and then leads that into calling her a monster. Which, like, damn. Hits her pretty hard there. But, I mean, literally, what else is he supposed to think when he hears his wife casually talking about destroying the entire world, killing billions of people? So yeah, she is not expecting that at all. So then we get over to Lucy, who's now within the Vault-Tec facility under Vegas. Remember the last time we saw her, she had passed out from the tranquilizer within the Atomic Wrangler, thanks to the ghoul. This is right before she knocked, like, she got tranked right before she knocked the ghoul out the window. Then her father came and got her. Now, the interesting thing about this room here is that you've got basically the same backdrop as they had on their farm in Vault 33. But along with that, they've got this yellow dress here for her, which is... I've seen someone call out that this is basically the female gambler's outfit from Fallout New Vegas. So I thought that was an interesting choice. She sees this box of sugar bombs in the background, then a note from her father, dial O when you're up, or 0. So yeah, she decides not to do that, though. She's going to go find him. She was in observation room number 7, which is interesting. And then, not so much the number or anything like that. I'm simply saying the fact that that room is just an observation room is interesting. So yeah, she sees a couple of Legionnaires coming, gets herself ready with the fire extinguisher. Turns out they're not dangerous at all. They're friendly. And they go walking off with their BCIs on their neck. Which I've just been calling them that because it's a brain-computer interface. But they refer to them later as boxes. And again, as the automated human or automated man previously. So automated man box, I guess, could be another way to put it. But anyway. So she's trying to figure out what's going on. She decides to go investigate. And she comes across this gentleman here getting a cup of coffee with his bud. And she discovers the entire office full of drones doing all their synchronized labor together. Now, early on, so this is something that I've really been wondering about now, is that early on, I had speculated that maybe she was seeing a simulation of what was going on here, or potentially that some of these people here basically were not here before, or they were here before Hank got here, and they were maybe sleeping at the time he got there. And the reason I speculated that was because as soon as Hank arrived, he drinks coffee from this room. But none of these people were here, so that leads to the question of either how old was that coffee, or was it coffee, or what was going on there with that? Because I can guarantee you leave coffee sitting in a pitcher for 200 years, it's not going to be very good. Anyway, though. Yeah, they're all building more BCIs, or making trail mix, or sharpening pencils, or working on computers. And she goes ahead and keeps on looking for her father and finds him within the simulation room, where he's within a fake version of a vault, like the donuts in Fallout 4 that had a hot filling 200 years later. Yeah, exactly. Like, I even talked about those in my lore video on, what's it called? Medford and Malden, I think. Where basically if what is it called? Oh, the donut place. Slocum Joe's. If they had managed to do that, if they'd managed to create a donut that maintains a scalding temperature 200 years later, like that is the ultimate in technology that does not transfer heat. He could have made the coffee while coming in, I guess, but like we don't see him doing anything other than walking in his power armor. It's later when he changes into a suit that would have made a little bit more sense for him to make coffee. It's kind of crazy to think about making coffee in a suit of power armor. Now there are also some oranges later, and I have no idea where they got the oranges from. I assume that maybe from the outside. I don't know how else that would make any sense. I mean, there's certain foods you can preserve, and maybe they've got, like, if they can freeze people, I guess it's always possible they've got, like, cryogenic stasis vaults worth of food. I don't know. But, anyway. So, yeah, he sees her there and basically decides to talk to her about All Quiet on the Western Front, which is, of course, a book about the futility of the First World War. From the, you know, like, it's fictional, but it's also written by, I believe he was a veteran, Maria Remarque, as you see right there. But yeah, very much considered an anti-war book because of the experiences that are detailed there. So yeah, he's like trying to talk to her about All Quiet on the Western Front. She never got to finish it because of the wedding, immediately followed by her father's kidnapping and having to chase him across the countryside. And he basically is just trying to have this academic conversation with her about the book, which of course is him trying to justify his acts in brainwashing people across the wasteland. Bunch of hidden Mr. Handy's still farming. Yeah, maybe. Cryo freezing coffee, the best cold brew coffee. Yeah. All right, come here. There we go. All right. Another cat. Okay. Ooh. Sorry about that. There we go. So yeah, he's just, again, trying to have this conversation with her about the book. Gets up to go start the record, and she comes over and holds a pair of scissors to his throat and decides to place him under arrest right then and there, which we do get a little bit of a different version of the Miranda warning from her there. I don't know if this is something that's actually the case across the vaults, or if that's something that's specific to Vault 33, but she starts off with, "You have the right to remain silent until the Vault Council assigns you a legal a legal counselor." So, I don't know. It's interesting. Moving on, though. He clearly was expecting something like this to happen, because he reaches down and he's immediately got a pair of handcuffs ready to go. Seems like a big compound. Yeah, no, definitely. But again, it's one of those things where they would have to have those crops going at the time for them to be ready to be picked by the time he got there. Which, yeah, they could do that with robots, but then, I don't know. Again, it's an interesting concept. I'd like to know more about this location in general. So yeah, she gets him to... he puts on the handcuffs voluntarily, actually. She doesn't understand what he's doing. Yeah, he says, basically, "I'm surrendering to you." And then he decides to have this weird conversation with her that is kind of strange. He's clearly trying to, like, slow her down, distract her. He's talking about, like, "Oh, you know me and my projects." And then he's like, "Oh, you remember your project where you were making potato batteries, and then you were running around with your little flashlight recharging the batteries?" I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense. That's not how that stuff generally works there. When it comes right down to it, like potato batteries, they're a very simple chemical battery that lasts a very short period of time and produce a very little amount of power. You don't really recharge them, especially not with a flashlight. I don't really know what that was all about, but anyway. So yeah, she's like, we'll keep going, let's go. So then we go to the next scene, and we have Thaddeus and Maximus escaping from the Brotherhood of Steel, leaving this suit of power armor behind. This is, of course, Paladin Harkness's second suit of power armor, so it likely has a tracking tag in it, which, of course, is something that will be... Well, it's one of those things where it's probably something that anybody in the Brotherhood can pick up, but at the end of the day, it's like that's a transponder specific to the Commonwealth. So it seems like if the Commonwealth ends up coming to look for the fusion core... Sorry, not the fusion core. The cold fusion diode, this is probably going to be their starting point here. So let's keep on going. So yeah, Thaddeus basically immediately wants to sell the thing, Maximus is disgusted with this idea, and they start walking off through the dune desert together. Again, still talking about selling it that night, burning what looks to me like a old wooden barrel here. I assume that's an old barrel hoop right there. But regardless, yeah, Maximus says he wants to give the diode to a good person. Thaddeus says he doesn't know any good people. Maximus wants to give it to Lucy, and talks about how he remembers growing up in Shady Sands where there were good people. Well, Thaddeus talks about the fact that he grew up in the Boneyard where there were no good people. He has seen a lot of stuff, but never good people. And that's pretty much it. Next, we get back to the Ghoul, where he is continuing to fight off going feral. He's even doing that same thing that we saw. I actually wrote their names down here so I would remember them. The same thing Roger and Martha were doing in the first season, where they were fighting off going feral by trying to force themselves to remember who they were. So he's referring to himself as Cooper. He's got a daughter, and that's when he decides he's going to try to climb his way off the pole. And he very nearly actually gets up there, gets to the top, and that's when he has another attack of going feral, slides all the way back down the pole, and passes out. And that's when he gets rescued by a super mutant, which it wasn't immediately obvious exactly what this was. Like, obviously something tall, so super mutant was likely. But then as soon as you see a literally dripping blood bag outside of the church, that's when you know, yeah, these are super mutants, or at the very least a super mutant that is rescuing him in this process. So, all right, back to Vault 33, where we have Reg and his Products of Inbreeding support group, which is, again, just kind of the snack party. We got the creepy couple there. And then we got Marianne at the door, who's telling him that third cousins isn't enough. You get Reg, who's clearly not getting the popularity out of this that he wanted, because basically the woman he's talking to just walks off. And, we have a confirmation here that Twizzlers are something within the Fallout universe. He tells her, it's like, yeah, go get the Twizzlers. Which, I mean, I'll grant you that, like, Twizzler or Red Vine is it's kind of the generic term for this form of candy now, but it's really something that I believe is actually technically called, like, red licorice, which really has nothing to do with licorice other than the shape. But yeah, Twizzlers, now a canonical product within the Fallout universe. But yeah, again, we got the creepy couple. And we have the uranium fever dream, where we have Reg basically imagining this party that's going on. Everyone's loving him. At the same time, we got Betty and the security team coming in to shut everything down, because they're using way too much in the way of resources, especially water, when they're in the middle of this water crisis. And we see that Norm was actually just playing Mary Had a Little Lamb with a single finger on the piano, and not really getting much attention for it. And so then security comes and breaks it up, and that's when Norm finally takes a stand, because they're telling him that the Products of Inbreeding support group has been shut down, and they have canceled their snack budget. And that is just a step too far for Reg, who stands up to Betty. And, like, this is the only time he actually gets the authority and the popularity that he wanted, was when he stands up for their snack budget. And stands up against Betty, because they're the children of Americans who decided to put themselves first by getting into a vault, and so they're going to continue to put themselves first by eating and drinking when the vault has no supplies. He gets full support from everybody around him. Oh yeah, I also enjoyed that they're finally standing up against Vault 31's, like, oh yeah, what about when you have to call us in to save everything because of the Weevil famine and everything like that. And he's like, I'm so tired of hearing about the Weevil famine. Calling him. Oh, I've been calling him Reg, I thought. Okay, sorry. He's not Norm. If I've been calling him Norm, I apologize. He's Reg. So yeah, Marianne's on board. He goes ahead and grabs this Jell-O and makes himself look crazy. Betty realizes she's lost this argument for the moment. Although, I don't know how she can afford to keep allowing these, like, to let these people keep doing this. None of this stuff is free, obviously. And it's also one of those kind of crazy things. Oh yeah. Kind of a crazy thing to consider, the amount of resources they would be consuming in these parties. And she's even like, you guys are eating salty snacks in the middle of a water crisis. We go over to Vault 32, where they're setting up a big party, and we got Davey here, who's looking for Woody, and can't find him, so he's talking to Irving over here, or And then you've got Chet, who's just having a sandwich while taking care of Chet Jr., which, again, is not his actual son. And his father, I believe, or he, I think, is Chet Jr. I can't remember, but regardless. So, yeah, Davey can't find Woody. Chet's interested in what's going on there. He's like, oh, yeah, I like to play checkers with Woody. I don't even like checkers, but Woody's such a good guy. Irving's like, oh, we should go talk to the overseer about this. And Davey's basically like, oh, no, the overseer, she's not very friendly about this stuff. Sorry, I didn't want to talk about your wife that way. He's like, she's not my wife. He's like, oh, yeah, fiance. And that's when Chet discovers that there's a wedding going on and that he's the groom. He had no concept of this beforehand. So now he knows that Woody is missing after having a confrontation with his soon-to-be wife, and the fact is he's soon to have a wife. So... so next we get back to the ghoul, who's within the church with the super mutant, who hoists him up on what looks like an old hammock. And reveals that the item that was in this lantern, I wasn't sure what this was when I first saw it. I almost even thought it was maybe some sort of glowing IV bag that was hanging on the side of the little cart. What's the little platform that he was dragging him along on? Turns out it's a hunk of uranium, which, if you're not aware, uranium does not actually glow, and it is not green. This is another one of those things that leads me to say that the Fallout universe is a different, like an alternate universe. I don't believe that there was, at any point in the past, a divergence between our universe and their universe. I simply believe it's the case that there are certain physical realities that are different between the two universes, and they specifically surround radiation and both radioactive materials and how they affect biological life. In terms of the mutations that it causes and stuff like that. And obviously you see right here, you've got literally glowing green uranium, which, yeah, you can find that with things like radium, but uranium does not glow green. So anyway. So yeah, we've got the giant hole left over from the pole, and we've got the super mutant that grabs this chunk of uranium, goes over and literally just shoves it into the ghoul's hole there. Now, the thing is, I'm not entirely sure that he pulled it out in the end. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm hoping that he did, because I don't know what's going to happen to the ghoul if he keeps a literal chunk, like a fist-sized chunk of uranium within his gut. But yeah, so we've got the super mutant here that's basically trying to tell him, it's like, oh, we got to band together, mutants and ghouls, because there's a war coming and we got to fight against the people that created us, which he refers to specifically as the Enclave. Which is, I feel like so obviously it's been mentioned here and there throughout the show, but it is nice that we seem to be moving towards one of the actual proper enemies now being mentioned, and being mentioned as an enemy. But yeah, so we got, again, still got the uranium in him while it seems like the wound is closing. So again, I'm hoping he got that out of there. Yeah, the radiation will absolutely heal him, because the radiation heals ghouls, but at the same time, again, it's one of those things where you don't know what's going to happen when they have too much exposure to radiation. Hey, Prince Julius. It's one of those things where it's like, what if this is something that turns him into a glowing one? I don't think they're going to do that. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't think they're going to turn him into a glowing one. I mean, they already have enough annoyance with Lucy's poop finger, as they call it. Can you imagine if they literally had to make Cooper Howard or the ghoul, or just having to have him glow every episode? That'd be utterly ridiculous. But yeah, so again, the super mutant kind of looms out of the shadows, and I immediately recognized this as Ron Perlman. I don't know about y'all. If you're not aware, Ron Perlman was the narrator for Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3. He was also the television announcer in Fallout 4, and he was the speaker in the opening cinematic of Fallout 76. His personality is glowing enough. Yeah, there you go. Gonna make it hard for him to be around his kid if he keeps it in there. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. War never changes. So yeah, he's like, well, look, so basically the interesting thing here is that the mutant rescues Cooper Howard, saves his life, and is basically like, okay, well, you don't have to join me, but I can't let you see where I am here. So ends up knocking him out and basically dragging him off again, which we'll get to in a moment. But for the moment, we go back to pre-war Las Vegas, where Cooper Howard continues his argument with Barb. including basically talking to her about the fact that she's planning on killing millions to billions of people in order to save their daughter. And she's like, wouldn't you do that? And she's like, also, like, there are far worse people than me out there. He's like, who is worse than you? And so we see, again, going back to the same day where she was having the meeting with Robert House, or Bobby Apartment, and we see that she actually did try to take a stand against what the company was doing here. She asks Betty here to find out everything she can about how Vault-Tec stores the cold fusion diode. Again, this is pre-Legion of Doom meeting. So this is before Cooper even knows about anything here. So yeah, she wants to know everything about it, and Betty already immediately knows this is probably not a good idea. And Barb is just like, let's just do this. Goes to the elevator, gets on, and that's when she basically is told you're going to be killed if you keep down this course. And she's told that by Dr. Siggy Wilzig, which I don't know why Dr. Wilzig is alive in the past. I did see some people complaining about this one online where it's like, how many people are going to turn out to have been frozen? And it is definitely an interesting question, like why exactly Dr. Wilzig here? I mean, my guess is at some point in the future we're going to find out more about Dr. Wilzig, why he would be important enough to be in multiple roles like this, where before the war he's apparently at Vault-Tec on this specific day in order to be there to warn her about this stuff, because he specifically says, like, if I don't deliver this message, they're going to kill my family. But also why they would then freeze him, and then he ends up leaving the compound after the bombs with the fusion diode. Do we see that she too was pressured? Yeah, puts a completely different light. Yeah, she was not on board with dropping the bombs. She was being blackmailed into it and threatened with death. And it is one of those situations where I was thinking about this myself, and it's like, okay, so personally, I don't have a child. So I can't speak to the mindset that would say, yes, I would let millions of people die in order to save my own child. So it's one of those things where I can say that. I can say that I would not. But again, I don't have a kid, so I don't have the immediate skin in the game to say that sort of thing, and I'm sure that your feelings change about that sort of thing once you actually become a parent. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's say that she does go ahead and resist, and they end up killing her, Janie, and Cooper. They're going to find somebody else for the role, and they're going to put somebody else into the job. Yeah, I guess that's true as well. Don't remember the first season very much, but he was a cold fusion scientist or something. Yeah, he was. So we don't know exactly what his role was. He seemed to be spending a lot of his time training the dog that became dog meat. He had at least a couple different roles that he was working in within the Enclave base. So it's, again, a question of why exactly he would have been frozen in order to come back and end up doing what he was doing here. And why they would have thawed him out specifically when they did, unless maybe this is all some grand Enclave plot where he's been specifically actually released to, like, get the cold fusion diode to House. Like, you never know. Because it could well be one of those situations where it's like, now the Enclave's decided that House should get the diode at this point in time. It's like, and that explains why when the machine guns were firing at him when he was leaving the base, they did such little damage. They actually didn't hit him at all. It's because they weren't trying to hit him. There you go. There's your new theory there. Anyway. Yeah, Dr. Wilzig's basically telling her, if you do what you're doing, they're going to kill you. We're all here under pressure. And he basically tells her, it's like, there's going to be a big meeting of people here, and you're going to tell them that the only way to go forward is if we are the ones who drop the bombs, and has her finish the line there. I will say that gameplay turrets and canonical turrets are probably not the same thing in terms of their accuracy. And I would assume we're going to get closer to a canonical version of a turret in the TV show, but regardless. So yeah, again, at the Legion of Doom meeting there. And so yeah, she's been basically warned, and Cooper's like, who was the one who threatened you? And it's like, she's basically like, look, there's nothing we can do about this. And so he decides he's going to go do something about it. And that specific thing is he's going to go out and he's going to find Hank McClane, which unfortunately you can't see him. I should have gotten a better shot there, but Hank McClane's right back there behind this woman. Twizzlers, brought to you by Nuka-Cola. Yeah, again, if you missed it earlier, Twizzlers are now a canonical product within the Fallout universe. So yeah, we get back to Lucy within the Enclave base, not Enclave, the Vault-Tec base, under the strip, and back into the room with all of these folks that are working as these synchronized office drones. Which I think drone is actually a pretty good term for these guys, especially when you consider the fact that they've got like a literal little control thing on the back of their neck. So yeah, he introduces her to all these people, and it's like, oh yeah, she was kind of a murderer, and then these two are two tribals from opposite tribes. They would have murdered each other last week if they'd been this close to each other. And then Rita, she used to cook people for the Legion, which, by the way, apparently the Legion is now cannibalistic, which I don't think was the case in the past. Let me see here 1 second. Getting down to my notes here. Yeah. So yeah, Legion has become cannibalistic if it was Rita's job to cook people for them. So yeah, basically, Lucy's trying to basically let these people all go free. What she doesn't really get is that they don't want to go free. They're happy here now doing their jobs here, where she now makes trail mix rather than cooking people. And as they're getting ready to go, she's basically telling him, oh yeah, we're going to leave all the doors open. You guys can leave. And like, do we have to? We don't really want to go out there. It's dangerous out there. Question, were fiends always cannibals too? I thought they were druggies. Yeah, no, they were definitely cannibals. Cook, for example, was one of their, literally, was there to cook people. There's driver Nephi, cook. Violetta? Am I misremembering something there? Regardless. Anyway, though. So, yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed this little thing. It's dangerous out there. Hank McClane goes, oh, yeah. I agree. Yeah. That's what it was. Violetta has the dogs. And so, yeah, they don't want to leave. And so that's when the snake oil salesman comes on in here with a a Legionnaire and a NCR Ranger. And basically, they've already got the BCIs on the back of the necks, but they haven't been activated yet. And he's like, they haven't been fixed yet. You want me to go ahead and press this button? I love, like, okay, he looks so crazy. And I think part of it is that they put makeup on his eyebrows to hide them. Like, you can still kind of barely see them there. But they've covered his eyebrows up, which makes him look just that much more crazy with the sunken eyes as well from the makeup and all that. This look on his face as he's like, you want me to press the button? It's like, no, it's up to Lucy. And she tells them to let them go, and they immediately free them within this place. Yeah, I really enjoy the snake oil salesman. They immediately let the Legionnaire out, and he tries to kill the Ranger immediately. Hank's basically just like, oh no, if only there was something we could do about this, like press the button. And then the Legionnaire ends up basically nearly killing Lucy till she gets a nice pencil that she stabs into him. And then immediately, though, as soon as he throws her down, he goes after the Ranger again and starts stapling his head, just over and over stapling his head. Lucy's trying to figure out what to do here. Hank tells her, you got to press the button. She goes over, presses it, and immediately in mid-swing, he stops. And ow, God, that looks like that hurt. Oh my God. But I do love that immediately they're just like best buds. It's like, oh, what's going on with you, man? It's like, oh, seem to have gotten myself trapped here. They start laughing, and he lets him up, and he helps him out. And he's like, kumbaya. Oh yeah, when the Legionnaire gets free and he starts going after the Ranger, he just simply yells NCR Hostis, which Hostis is apparently Latin for enemy, which is strange that he decided to go that far. Like he has to say, enemy. Let's see. Oh yeah. I also wanted to note the BCIs are basically instantaneous to the point where neither of them even remember having been fighting at this point. They're just like, oh, what happened to you? It's like, looks like you're hurt. It's like, oh, let's get you out of here. Yeah, and she's not happy with his methods right here, but anyway. So we get back to the super mutant dragging the ghoul through the desert. and ends up leaving him behind somewhere. But in the process, we get back to a little bit more of Cooper Howard's past, where he's now brought Hank McClane into his room and drops him into a chair and goes to fix him a drink with a sleeping pill in it. Mixes it up nice for him and gives it to him to drink, and he's immediately knocked out. So again, there's more here that makes me think that this is... So, okay. Whether or not the Enclave had any plans to release the cold fusion diode after the war, I don't know. But it seems to be clear that the whole transfer of the cold fusion diode from Vault-Tec to the Enclave was definitely part of their plans to begin with. Because they'll note that when he goes in here to get into his case, it's immediate. There's not even like a difficulty getting the thing open. And there's a code. There's a code on that case, but he doesn't even have to enter it. It just opens. So it seems to me that they didn't even want to give that little bit of resistance to him being able to get to the injector here. And again, whether or not... I don't think Barb was in, like... I don't think she was in on their plot. At least currently. But she comes into the room and she helps him. She obviously understands how this tech works, though, because she immediately takes the syringe from Cooper, goes in, knows exactly where to go, and withdraws the cold fusion diode. So, again, she may be fully on board with this stuff. We're still going to have to wait to find out. It may be in the next episode that we find this out. It may not. I'm currently leaning towards Barb Howard being on the good side of things and basically having been in a terrible situation, in a terrible position, I mean, to where she basically had to work with them, because it's one of those things, again, where, okay, let's say she resists them. They just kill her and replace her with someone else who does the exact same job, and in the process, she, her husband, and child are dead, and the world still ends. So, anyway, though, she gets the cold fusion diode here, and they're ready to move with that. So now we come back to Maximus and Thaddeus in the desert here. Both of them seemingly have fallen asleep, which is crazy irresponsible. Like, you are supposed to leave at least one person on guard duty, and like swap off shifts and sleeping. But regardless, the good news is that they don't get somebody coming upon them trying to kill them. They instead get Dogmeat coming up with the ghoul's hat. And I love the way they do this, where he just drops the hat and barks once. And then they immediately... And I can't remember if it's a boy or a girl. I think it's a girl, honestly. So, yeah, she drops the hat. She barks once. And they know to go chasing after her. So they head out here to this little outpost in the middle of the desert, which is like got this really kind of strange strip of greenery right here. Like, I assume this is some sort of little oasis or a little bit of a river. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. It's Lana 5 or something like that is the name of the dog. But I can't remember if the dog is canonically in the show a boy or a girl. I literally can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look that up at some point. But anyway, so yeah, they go into this area where they've got the Mojave Mission School. And that's where they end up finding the ghoul. I really did enjoy this meeting. And yeah, so then we go into the closing credits here for episode 6. And that's where we find ourselves in Bud Askin's office, where we see this pamphlet here on becoming immortal by turning into a brain on a Roomba. And we see all these different little toys here. Well, yeah, I think it's a boy in the game, but I don't know if it's a boy or a girl in the show. Because in Fallout 3, literally the perk to make it so that Dogmeat will respawn is puppies, to where Dogmeat has had puppies, and you're basically getting new versions of Dogmeat. But anyway, so yeah, his office is full of toys and comics and movie posters, including posters of Cooper Howard, like a lot of posters of Cooper Howard. So it seems that Bud Askins was a big fan of Cooper Howard movies. And the funny thing is, this must be like from the day of the bombs, which means that even though Cooper Howard was on the outs with the company, Bud Askins still has his posters up all over his office. But yeah, we zoom out through the HR R&D office, and we see that they've got management and vault infrastructure. Along with that, we've got vault toilet R&D. We got vault agriculture R&D. We have door engineering and water chip R&D. And then again, we have again the sign here. It's covered by Walton Goggins, but it says HR R&D department. What do you think the editor put Todd Howard's name on that very scene? Which one do you mean? Cooper Howard. Trying to see which one you mean. Well, anyway, that's it for... Oh, I didn't see that. I mean, I know Todd Howard is in the show. Man in the Dog. See a Man in the Dog movie poster? Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Oh! Sorry. Edited. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Sorry. I didn't see what you were talking about. I thought you were meant like on like one of the props. I'd assumed that maybe they'd done something where it was like Todd Howard, gun, or something like that. But no, okay. So that's the end of episode 6. So let me open up episode 7. And there we go. Okay. All right. So we are in the Canadian wilderness, which I think is somewhere in California, because they've done some color tinting on the screen. Editors don't make props, yeah. And so we've got people running through the wilderness. There's actually several, but you only see a couple on this one shot. I apologize for that. There's like 6. And we find out that 2 of them are Stephanie Howard. Not Howard, sorry. Stephanie Harper and her mother Joan. And so they're running away from, and I wish I'd gotten a shot of this, the, what is it, Uranium City? Yeah, Uranium City internment camp. Sorry, one second, let me open my notes on episode 7. Yeah. So, first of all, this gives us multiple things, which is that the United States utilized internment camps in Canada after the annexation, which, I was thinking about why they would do this, and so, specifically, I think this would be for the families of politicians in order to keep them in line. I think potentially this would also be the case where you would do this for strategically important areas. So basically, if you were talking about right along the highway, running up to Alaska, they might specifically remove Canadians from along that highway to prevent the risk of there being some sort of sabotage on that highway. The United States obviously would have been utilizing every sort of roadway and everything like that to get people into to get troops and supplies into Alaska, and they wouldn't want that sabotaged by anybody along the way. And then I was thinking also potentially they might have removed them from places like near critical port infrastructure, stuff like that. Again, basically following along the lines of the removal of Asian Americans during the, specifically Japanese Americans, during the Second World War, when basically the entire West Coast was considered a defense zone. And so they took all Japanese Americans and moved them to internment camps within the interior. The only one that I know of off the top of my head by name is Manzanar, which is built on an old apple farm or apple orchard that was actually destroyed by the city of Los Angeles because they pulled all the water out of the area and pulled it down towards the city of Los Angeles. But regardless, that's again my thinking as to why the United States would have internment camps in Canada is effectively either to hold hostages of the family members of politicians or to remove Canadians from critical defense areas. So let's see here. Next we have, oh yeah. So they're running through the woods, and that's when they see a vertibird and a man wearing I assume United States Marine Corps right there, with a T-45 power armor suit. That this thing is so clunky when he's moving with it that I almost wonder if the thing was even powered. But regardless, gets hit immediately by, first of all, he says, "Get back to the camp, hosers." And then immediately gets killed by a Canadian suicide bomber, which I was not expecting. So yeah, the Canadians went so far as to use suicide bombers against occupying U.S. forces. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to everybody, actually. Hope everyone's having a bit warmer. Yeah, that line had you dead. Yeah. Back to the camp, hosers. um, Again, I hope everyone's having a warmer week this week than last week. Um, let's see here. Okay. We move forward and we see that this is actually a dream that Stephanie's having at the time. And we see that her mother was actually grievously wounded by that suicide bombing. And then we get a nice little shot of her missing her eye. And then she gets up and we get a nice shot of Chet sleeping with his sleep mask on. She goes in and starts brushing her teeth. And again, a nice shot of eyeless Stephanie there. And she starts brushing her teeth. So we see her speaking with her mother, who's basically telling her, get south to the United States, get somewhere warm. A flood is coming, get to the highest branch you can grab and hold on. And she's telling her, I know you were raised Catholic, but forget all that stuff. And she also ends up telling her basically like, go ahead and kill anybody you need to on the way. Don't consider them humans, consider them to be Americans. So yeah, she murders this guy here who's just out eating his can of pork and beans, which I unfortunately didn't get a shot at the pork and beans, and then she just keeps running and walks all the way to the Canadian-American border where, man, she looks like really fried here. Like psychologically just destroyed by the experience. And the weird thing, apparently they had normal border guards still in between the annexed territory and the United States. Like, this seems odd. And maybe it's the case that they simply didn't have the personnel to spare to guard every border point with multiple soldiers or anything like that. And so some places, especially more rural places where there weren't that many people, you maybe had like one person guarding the border posts like this. It's just kind of strange. Do you know how long the invasion of Canada took? I do not think it would take long. Like, even today with... like when people talk about, because if you're not aware, basically every country, for a long time has basically always had plans on like, what do we do if we've got to invade this other territory? And so it's like, that's why like the Germans had their plans for how to invade France ready to go decades before the First and Second World War. It's the same sort of thing where like the United States, I think, has plans like on the shelf to where it could invade basically any country in the world if it needed to. Because they literally have people paid to do that kind of work within the Pentagon. I don't think it would take very long to invade Canada, not in the modern age, and I especially don't think within the Fallout universe, because specifically, like within the Fallout universe, they already had the highway running up to Alaska was already constantly under strain of soldiers and troops and supplies and tanks and all kinds of stuff going up there. Yeah. Yeah, but of course the Germans got it right the second time. And if for some reason the French just watched the German planes the first time around, they're like, they won't try that again. We'll build the Maginot Line along the border between us and the Germans. They wouldn't dare go through Belgium again, right? Anyway, so yeah, we see that she's been overbrushing a bit. She ends up spitting some blood in the sink. And we see that in entering the country, she stabbed the border guard to death. And, okay. So, yeah. We are now back at the Vault-Tec facility under Vegas, where, again, the synchronized workers are all doing their thing, happily, smiling. I really did enjoy the use of Nat King Cole singing, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles at you. They left the Ardennes undefended because it's considered impassable. Yeah, but it's like Patton said, where it's like, if you could get, I can't remember the exact line he says in the movie Patton, but it's effectively along the, so a lot of the movie lines you see in the movie Patton are things that Patton said at one time or another, and I can't remember the exact statement he said, but something along the lines of, if people can get elephants over the Alps, then, and that's a boundary created by God, then it's crazy to think that anything that humanity could build could not be passed. So, anyway, fixed fortifications are a monument to the stupidity of man, I believe is what Patton said. Regardless. So, again, we got the office drones here working. Lucy has basically noted, yeah, this works, but I don't like this at all. We got Hank here with his remote here that he tells her basically the amount that he turns up the knob increases their amnesia, which is just kind of crazy. Got the snake oil salesman where every time she looks around at him, he's just kind of staring off into the distance, but as soon as he sees he's being focused on, that's his little smile at her. At least someone was at the border. There was no one guarding the cold fusion at Area 51. Well, the cold fusion, yeah, no, I know what you mean there. It wasn't being, so once it was there with the Brotherhood, yeah, they were kind of just ignoring it, which is crazy because it's like literally the most valuable thing in North America, and there's nobody watching that spot. So yeah, again, discussing the fact that he could turn that up to increase their amnesia. Trying to remember exactly what was being said here. Oh, yeah. She basically tells him, look, I want to shut this whole thing down. He says, the process once complete is irreversible. She says, okay, well, I'm going to stop you from being able to make more of them. He's like, oh, well, we got to go to the mainframe. And he's like, let's go this way. We'll take the golf cart. What's a golf cart? Oh, this is going to be fun. And so then we basically get a little scene of Hank teaching his daughter how to drive, something he never got the opportunity to do. First of all, because he didn't have a daughter before the war, but then because growing up in a vault, obviously they don't have access to vehicles. But yeah, so it's kind of a little fun father-daughter scene here. But yeah, it ends a bit dark where he's like, oh, if only we could have had a normal life. And she says, we had one, then you ruined it, which is definitely true to an extent there. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like their life was obviously not going to be anything like it would be pre-war, but she was living with her mother in Shady Sands before he came, grabbed her and her brother, and ended up blowing up Shady Sands. So, does irreversible mean death when the mainframe shuts down? I don't think so. I think that effectively what that means is those people are would just end up kind of being mind wiped for the rest of their life. I think it's something that they would be able to restart, filling their mind with new things. But I don't think that it would mean that they would die. So, again, that's just entirely speculation on my part. I think that what the mainframe is doing for the moment is basically filling them with happy thoughts. And so if that goes away, then they basically then can actually start filling it with their own thoughts. But yeah, I think that effectively their memories would still be gone, and it would be up to them to start filling their brains up with new ones. But anyway. So yeah, we get to the lower areas where we see that he has even more office drones. In this case, working in some sort of filing room. What exactly they're doing down here, I don't know. But yeah, we get this nice shot of this door to the mainframe, which looks a lot like the doors you'd find in like the maintenance areas, the sewer areas of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I really liked the design of this door. It reminded me a lot of that stuff. And then we see that the Legionnaire is here, happily mopping up the floors. She's like, oh yeah, if we go back outside into the outside world, there's still the Legion out there getting ready to kill everybody. And she says, with your technology, we could basically stop that from happening. So long as the mainframe exists, it continuously suppresses the creation of... It kind of feels like that's the case. I don't know. Again, that's the thing that I took away from it. Hey, Night Spirit, good to see you. Hope you're having a good week. Because basically what he talks about is the mainframe creates new thoughts for them, I believe is what he was saying earlier. So I actually have it here. 1 second here. Let's see if I have it. Yes, okay. This dial controls how much amnesia they have, and the mainframe implants new ideas in their heads, turning these wastelanders into well-meaning good people. So there you go. There's the exact quote. I actually, for the past few episodes, I know I said that I wasn't going to do this, but I literally did type up the exact transcripts of everything that was said in the show, which obviously takes a long time. But anyway, it's nice to be able to actually search that kind of thing for lines to see what people say exactly like that. So yeah, basically she decides to go along with him for the moment. She's kind of wobbling on her, let's free all the people and stop my father from using this technology to wipe people's minds and create drones. Next, we go to this old New California Republic camp where we see that the Ghoul, Maximus, Thaddeus, and Dogmeat are heading in. We don't know why just yet, but Maximus and Thaddeus are following the Ghoul. Thaddeus tries to go talk to the Ghoul about being a ghoul. The Ghoul looks at him like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And he drops back to go along with Maximus, and basically he's like, what are we doing following this guy? And it's like, he's said he'd lead us to Lucy. She's at the Lucky 38, says the ghoul. They say we're going the wrong direction. And he basically is like, okay, well, we're going to need something to get in there because she's behind a nest of death claws. Wish they used the paint job of the NCR. Yeah. Yeah. No, it looks good. It really does. A lot of people have been knocking on that, and they forget that it is actually canonically stated that the NCR has power armor forces in the game. Chief Hanlon talks about it, but he says that their main power armor forces are back in California defending the Brahmin Barons from petty raiders. They do have their reclaimed Brotherhood of Steel power armor within the Mojave as well, and that's the stuff where they've ripped out the servos because they didn't have time to teach everybody how to use power armor with power armor training, which is no longer a thing in the games. But anyway, yeah, camo colors change all the time. That's true. Okay, so basically, yeah, the ghoul is like, where the hell did you get that thing? Because he recognizes the fact that Maximus has the cold fusion diode. You can receive power armor in the base game. There's a special one if you launch the nukes on the NCR. Yeah. So, hey, Solix Captor 6823. So yeah, Thaddeus, who is trying to negotiate between the two of them, is like, let's just recognize the fact that he has a gun. Feels like a missed opportunity to not have Ranger armor rather than power armor. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if I got it in a shot of it or not, but there is actually a Ranger helmet within this place, and we also do see the Ranger suppression armor within the first season of the show, specifically, what's the guy's name? There's a former Ranger that works as a lead farmer, he and his sons. I'm trying to remember. Eric Estrada's actor is the actor that plays him. I can't remember the name of the character. Regardless, he has the riot suppression gear on him when they're going out there to farm lead from old battlefields. Anyway, though, the ghoul wants to know what Maximus is doing with this cold fusion diode. I don't know why I'm special enough to have those numbers. Yeah. Maximus says, I'm trying to get it to Lucy. She's a good person. And then the ghoul's like, oh, you're trying to get the cold fusion diode to a good person, huh? And then it kind of gives him a little bit of a smile before they move on. So yeah, we get back to New Vegas, where Barb is hiding in the bathroom while Cooper is getting rid of Hank McClane. He's called in a maid to haul him off in a laundry cart, and it turns out that maid is Stephanie Harper, because she's come down from Canada. She's gotten to Las Vegas, and again, like her mother said, she's trying to get onto the highest branch she can get to before this oncoming flood. So she's in the Lucky 38, which is the domain of Robert House. Robert House being one of the most powerful men in the world. Even if she's the lowest person on the totem pole here, she's still working her way up that. Crazy Canadian, yeah. So yeah, she's like, how do I get into one of those vaults? And he's like, oh, you don't really want to do that. They're not really all they're cracked up to be. Probably the best thing we can do is just try to get to where there's a better world where they're not going to drop the bomb. She's like, oh, that's a nice sentiment, but I'd probably be safer if I got myself into a vault, because the idea that people are going to stop the world from ending is far-fetched. And so she's like, can I get a job in Vault-Tec? And he's like, why don't you talk to him? Points down to Hank sitting in the cart, and so she hauls him off. Barb comes out of the bathroom, and they're basically, again, trying to figure out what to do going forward. So then we get this scene here. I'm not sure when this scene is supposed to have taken place. Give this to the show. They do well with the pre-war scenes and feels. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I've seen people say that you can't really do a Fallout game within the pre-war world because it violates what makes a Fallout game, which is basically being in the post-war. And like the closest thing you can get to it is what they did in Fallout 4, where they did the pre-war scene where it's basically just minutes before the bombs drop. And so it's kind of gives you a taste of the pre-war world. But I've also been one of those people that has long thought that you could make games of different genres within the Fallout universe without it being a problem. I mean, specifically, what I've said many times before is I would love to see like some sort of action adventure game where you are American soldiers that were stationed in China when the bombs dropped, and you're trying to get back home to the United States, and so you have to find like different means of making that happen, getting back to the coast, and then crossing the ocean, and then crossing the irradiated landscape of the country. But anyway, can't wait to see how Steph convinces Hank. She's yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I do really hope we get actually a scene with her kind of waking Hank up and trying to get a job out of him. Yeah, no, I do. I've been enjoying seeing the pre-war world, especially the fact that we get to see the Atomic Wrangler both pre and post-war within the show. And so we got him going to the bar where he sees the Congresswoman Welch sitting at the table there drinking. And I've talked about this a little bit on in the Discord, but I am almost like 100% sure. Let's go with, I'm 99% certain that she is Enclave and was specifically sent to the VA meeting, again, as part of this overall plan to transfer the cold fusion diode from Vault-Tec to the Enclave. Now, it's always entirely possible as well that she's just a patsy, that she doesn't know she's working for the Enclave. But I mean, it seems like such a thing where it's like Cooper Howard is known to be basically the cowboy hero looking out to try to find the woman to save. You think she got tricked by the president? It's possible. Again, she could well just be a patsy. But it's one of those things where it's like, if Cooper Howard is known to be the guy who saves the damsel in distress, well, when he goes to that VA meeting, what do they give him? A well-meaning, bumbling woman who immediately drops her cards before she gives a speech, but makes sure that people know that she's the only congresswoman out there that's not getting any sort of political patronage from different corporations and stuff like that. So, having two options, going through the continent, having a higher likelihood of finding friendlies, but yeah. No, again, having a game that basically is not something where you are playing as like a normal individual post-war, but something where it's like you're controlling a group of soldiers or something like that. You could even make it be like a tactics game or something like that. But regardless, okay. So I think Representative Welch was basically dangled in front of Cooper Howard as a damsel in distress that he could save, and ended up also being the immediate lifeline to try to find someone within the government who is honest to deliver the diode to. And again, she has a direct connection to the president, and that is exactly who they wanted to get the diode to, because if this is the president, the last president before the bombs, he is 100% a member of the Enclave. I mean, if we didn't already know that because of the fact that the president was on the oil rig at the time of the bombs, which we know because of the Boston Bugle article in Fallout 4, we also know from Fallout 76 that the president was one of the people on the list of people given an early warning by the government. The vice president was not. We finally get the president, but no name. Yeah, that's true. It's unfortunate. We'll just call him President Clancy Brown. How about that? People have been doing a lot of SpongeBob SquarePants memes with Mr. Krabs as the president of the Enclave. But anyway, no, they don't say his last name. He just simply is called Mr. President. So anyway, though, we have this whole conversation here where Cooper is talking to Representative Welch, basically like, why can't you sell your position better? You're a good person, but you don't sell it well. And she's like, well, okay, how do you think that works when you do this stuff? How do you sell being a good person? And basically, he's like, and she's also like, what do you know about the company you work for? He's basically talking about the fact that he's got the whole cold fusion diode. What's the last name? What if his last name is President? Yeah, that's what it is. President SquarePants. No, it'd be President Krabs, y'all. But anyway. So yeah, basically she's like, do you know what your wife's doing here? He's like, yeah, transferring the cold fusion diode in exchange for the bombs, and once Vault-Tec has the bombs, they can use the bombs to make themselves the only ones left in the world. And so I was listening very carefully when they brought him on screen, because Nate made a whole hour-long speculation on the presidents a few months ago, and we never knew the president's name. Yeah, we still don't know his name. The weird thing, too, is that within Fallout 76, within the Civic Center in Watoga, they were planning on having a presidential debate, but I have no idea why that would be the case when 77 is not even close to a presidential election year. But anyway, I think she is what Lucy would be if she believes and follows her dad. Someone who knows the evil but thinks they can change things from the inside. Yeah, maybe. maybe. But yeah, basically, Cooper Howard's like, what would you do if I gave you the diode? She's like, oh, give it power to the people. He's like, yeah, I need more assurances than that. And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't trust me either. But the president's in town. He just landed on his plane. If I can get you a meeting with him, do you want to hand it over? He's like, you can get me a meeting with the president. Yeah, and so that's the plan. So, okay, good. I did get a shot of it. There's a shot of the Ranger suppression armor, the riot armor right there. But yeah, we go back to Cooper Howard breaking into this old NCR armory, which seems to be a site that he knows well. It seems like he actually has had this as a site he goes back to now and then. Simply from the fact that he has come here in order to basically trade supplies that are stored here for the cold fusion diode, and also to properly equip Maximus for the fight with the Deathclaws ahead. But yeah, they come on in here. Maximus gets himself a grenade launcher. Thaddeus finds himself a rifle and starts... I love how this is like the exact hunting rifle from the games too. But anyway, so yeah, he starts looking for a scope, which is of course a lovely little callback to the first season, where he shoots like a dozen times with a 10mm pistol and misses every single time. He's like, oh, I suck without a scope. Yeah. So yeah, then we see that the ghoul has found himself a Gauss rifle here. And Maximus goes over to start talking about being a ghoul. He's like, oh, just waiting for my nose to drop off. It's like, just when's it going to happen? God, it's so annoying having to wait for it. And then he's like, this is something normal, right? And he shows him this little mouth with 8 teeth that's just like quivering now and then. It's so creepy and weird. Oh, man. And the ghoul looks at him like, what the hell is wrong with you? I think the ghoul knows that he's not a ghoul and that he's turning into something else. Now, exactly what that is, there's been a lot of speculation, specifically that he's turning into a centaur. But we'll see. Excuse me. Sorry, still dealing with that flu. With the aftermath of it, I mean. So Maximus is like, all right, so I'm not giving you the cold fusion diode. And he's like, well, you got to understand that this is a transaction that we're going to be making here. And I'm going to give you something, and you're going to give me the cold fusion diode. The Enclave is mysterious enough, but if you work close enough with people, it's easy to catch on people. Yep. Okay, so yeah, he reveals the NCR power armor here, which I think this looks pretty good. Now, I think there's a lot of people that have been annoyed by it, but I think I saw one comment, I can't remember who made it, that I thought was pretty good. Yeah, ghouls do not lose arms like that. But basically the whole thing here with this is that I think that this armor was specifically made... Somebody made this comment, and it makes a lot of sense, to fight the Legion. Specifically, it seems to be melee power armor, more so than anything else. Basically, this is someone that could be dropped into a group of Legionnaires and just keep on fighting, because they've got blades on their arms and stuff like that. So I don't buy the Centaur theory. But weirdly enough, I kind of buy he's becoming something like the Master. Oh, that'd be interesting. So yeah, Maximus is thrilled by the fact that he's getting some NCR armor, having grown up in Shady Sands. So he hands over the cold fusion, because again, I do love that the ghoul's like, look, here's the thing, you want to save a good person, but in order to do it, you got to give that to a really bad person. It's like exactly what he did. And so then we get back to Norm. Yeah, Maximus gets the melee power armor to fight Deathclaws. So we have Norm here, who's waking up from having been strangled by Reggie? I can't remember. It's an R. I've got his name down here somewhere. That'll help. Ronnie. That's Ronnie. So yeah, Ronnie and the other buds are discussing what to do with Norm, because Norm has been revealed not to be the successor to Bud Askins. And so it's like, he's like, I think I remember seeing that if someone impersonates management, you get to kill him. And then you get Clark here is just like, oh yeah, well, if you think you remember seeing it. And originally I thought Clark was basically making fun of him, like, oh yeah, let's just execute someone based on what you think you remember within the Vault-Tec handbook. But in the end, it seems like he's actually on board with it. So, I don't know. But yeah, so basically they decide that they're going to have to figure out what to do with him, which potentially, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg on the left, potentially going to have to kill him. He asks what's going to happen to my vault, and that's when Clark here smashes him on the head with the trophy. So next we get to the marriage of Steph and Chet. Sorry, no, it's still coming. But basically, this is the later the day that he discovered that he's getting married, the day before. So he's put the kid down here. He's now doing the dishes. Goes and picks up the tea from Stephanie, coffee, whatever, and goes to wash the dishes. And she's like, "Hey, do you know what happened to Woody?" Or no, first he says, "So I saw that we're getting married. Why is that?" And she's like, "I'm busy." It's like, okay. Yeah, episode 8 is the finale. Steph's just like, I'm too busy to talk to you about the fact that we're getting married without you having had any knowledge of that happening before now. Want to see a centaur, but have it be a different or unique variation like Harold? Yeah, maybe. So Chet goes to do the dishes, but the sink is clogged, and he reaches in and finds Woody's glasses. Something I don't understand. Maybe it's a power thing for her, but why is she so adamant to basically force this marriage relationship on Chet? I think it's because she wants the appearance of normality. It could well just be something where it's like a control thing for her. But again, I think she's just trying to basically lock herself in as like a normal looking person from the outside, where she's got this relationship here where she's married to a guy that takes care of her kid and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. So yeah, he kind of freaks out a little bit by this, asks, "Do you know what happened to Woody?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, he went to Vault 31 for a special training thing." Yeah, normal American family view from the outside, keeping up appearances. And so he kind of freaks out a little bit here. I think he feels locked in at this point, doesn't know what to do, and so he's like kind of trying to be a part of their relationship. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Where he ends up smashing Woody's glasses and shoving him back down the garbage disposal. I'm not entirely sure why he did that. Other than, again, feeling like he's already locked into a bad situation anyway, and this is his way of basically keeping his own head above water. So, true, but hey, that country was being annoying to us when we were trying to get our troops and supplies up to Alaska. So, they kind of brought it on themselves. So, anyway. Probably didn't see a way of storing them. Maybe. So we get back to Vault 33, where we have a PA announcement that says showering is banned. Can I help? Can you just... Okay, come here. All right, there we go. All right. Showering is banned. Basically, everything to do with water is banned. And we get to... There was oil in Alaska. That's the reason that the war was being fought there. It was one of the few places where there was oil left. Intro involves American military. Yep, that's true. Okay, so we got Betty here, and this is the appearance of Todd Howard. If you missed it, that's Todd crossing the Alps, as can be seen in game. This is Napoleon crossing the Alps. It's a real painting that then they have. It's basically a version of that with Todd Howard, Todd the God riding his steed. Yeah, no, it is great to see it here. Hope Woody's actually in Vault 31. It's possible. Either that, so he could be in a tube in 31, or he could well even just be in 31 without any food or supplies. So we'll see what happens with that. It's probably a Canadian prisoner too. Yeah, no, that was definitely a Canadian prisoner. So yeah, basically we get this stuff here where Betty she kind of gives up on trying to resist Stephanie and decides she's going to have to give her Hank McClane's keepsake box. She doesn't know what's in it, but goes ahead and opens up the safe and pulls out the box and goes to meet Stephanie. Leaves the box in the cart there. Stephanie comes out to check out this box. And as she's doing that, Betty reveals herself and congratulates her on the fact that she's getting married, which is interesting because Betty definitely has sources within Vault 32. But yeah, what's in the box is a good question and a good reference to 7. But like, it's weird that Betty has sources within 32. You got to wonder how exactly. That implies they have some sort of communication system between them and stuff like that. But yeah, Stephanie's like, yeah, look, you'll get your water. Before that, Betty's basically like, we were afraid of you, but I've learned a lot since I've been awake while you've been asleep. And Stephanie's like, I learned a bunch of stuff before I ended up becoming. It's another Canadian. Yeah. Or it turns out that Hank is also Canadian. Oh, that would mean that Lucy and Norm are also Canadian too. Yeah. So basically, Betty stops the cart here and is like, you promised me 50% of your water. And she's like, yeah, you're going to get your water. So she leaves and she's like, look, I just want my people in the vault to be happy to survive. And please don't do anything. I don't want any part of your plans. And Steph's like, oh, look, I don't have any control over the future. It gives this kind of creepy smile. And then disappears into the vault, leaving Betty behind to wonder what the hell is going on. Next, we get back to Freeside, where the people are shocked to see this group come in here. We got the Ghoul, we got Maximus, we got Thaddeus, and we got Dogmeat there. We got Maximus in the NCR power armor, and the people of Freeside love seeing it. So we assume that the box probably is a sample of FEV. That's what I've been assuming, but why would Hank need it? To turn dwellers into super soldiers, to become his army. See, and the thing is that, like, you gotta kind of keep in mind that the only time that FEV really actually, like, works well, it's either like a 1 in 1,000 chance that it works well, or it's specifically tailored to your genetics, like Virgil in Fallout 4. So, unless it was something that was specifically trained up for Hank McClane, and then I don't know how that would help Stephanie. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to find out what's going on with whatever it is that's inside that box. Jones soda product placement, yeah. Speaking of which, let's see here. Yeah. There we go. Got the Sunset Sarsaparilla that they've got in the show there. But of course, I have to wonder if the one in the show is also made by Jones, but regardless. Okay. What is the 200-year-old internment camp survivor who worked their way up to be... Yeah, no, that's a good question. Wasn't FEV used in some capacity for the creation of Gen 3 synths? I think it was. No, I do have G Fuel as well, but I already finished that. So this is what I got at Costco like a month and a half ago. So yeah, can you imagine? It's like, oh, Woody becomes the first super mutant. Dogmeat is just aura farming there. Yeah. She doesn't even fight in the next scene. No, she does not. Yeah, she probably does just keep Thaddeus company. So yeah, we got everybody here being kind of shocked at what they see, and we got one guy that even yells, long live the NCR. And we got Hank says, it's like, what was the exact term? I freaking loved the line he had here. Oh yeah, so Thaddeus says, why are they all looking at us like that? And the Ghoul says, never underestimate the power of brand recognition. Freaking loved that. But yeah, everyone in the street's thrilled, which, like, Freeside wasn't even really the biggest fans of the NCR, but I would not be even slightly surprised in this post-NCR period where they've basically just been dealing with raiders and the potential of a Legion raid at any point in time, and dealing with the Death Claws, that they would love to see the NCR come back. And so when they see a man coming in dressed in the NCR power armor, it's got to be a great sight. Especially because they are expecting Maximus to free them of the Death Claws. They think that's exactly why he's there. So, regardless of circumstances, I'd like to call back to Maximus seeing the little boy. Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah. So we got here, let's see. So yeah, they're all thrilled by seeing this NCR stuff. NCR is basically abandoned. The New Vegas is basically abandoned by everyone except the NCR, yeah. So we got the interesting armor there. Maximus walking through. And then we get this entire parade, basically, that follows them all the way up to the gate, where we got people even bowing to them and stuff like that. And then we get to the gate where you can see the Death Claws right behind the gate back there. Now, so here's the weird thing. Because we definitely have it being obviously the case within this next fight that the Death Claws could have gotten out at basically any time they wanted. Because all they do is they knock Maximus through the gate, and they basically blow a hole in the gate that they can just walk through. But at the same time, they don't seem to actually be remotely controlled. So, I don't know. It's weird. Still confused what happened to the Kings. So yeah, I do think that there was some sort of radiation attack, and also specifically because when they're walking around on the strip, the first time around, Lucy detects some rads with her Pip-Boy. So I think it's entirely possible there was some sort of radiation attack. Yeah, no, they accidentally smack into the grate, which creates an opening. But like I pointed out the first time around, they managed to knock down a tree with just a swipe of the tail. And again, when they knock Maximus through the gate, it's with a swipe of the tail. The fact that the Deathclaws are like trapped in the strip just doesn't seem realistic. You don't think these are particularly intelligent Deathclaws? Yeah, maybe. Did Hank nuke New Vegas too? No, I don't think so. I think this is more something that the Legion potentially did with radiation, in the same way that they destroyed Searchlight. Of course, in Searchlight's case, the truck full of nuclear radiation, full of nuclear fallout, not fallout even, waste, was there on the day of the bombs. They had been driving along through southern Nevada when the bombs happened. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't make it to the waste site, so they pulled off in Searchlight, and they were directed into the firehouse, and that's where the truck stayed, completely undisturbed until the Legion found it and opened up the casks. So, but anyway, so yeah, we got Maximus getting ready for this fight, and then Thaddeus' arm literally just falls off. And then he drops his rifle because his rifle's on his shoulder, and suddenly there's no arm on the shoulder. And it's just lying there on the ground. I love Thaddeus' response to this too, and people are like, I'm getting annoyed with the fact that he reacts the way he does to these situations. It's like, Thaddeus assumes this is part of him becoming a ghoul. He has no concept of what's supposed to be happening. He thinks he's the way he talks about his nose falling off, it's like, just gotta wait for that to happen. What a bummer to have to wait for that. And again, so as soon as his arm falls off, again, he has that mouth on his chest, and he just thinks that this is something normal about becoming a ghoul. So yeah, he just assumes this is what's supposed to be happening to him. And I really enjoyed the way Maximus just goes, whoa. And Thaddeus is like, I'll get up on the roof with a sniper rifle. Just give me a minute. I got to get the gun. I can get it with the other arm. And again, the ghoul's like, okay, so something bad is happening here. So yeah, I love this, where Thaddeus manages to wedge the arm up there with the gun in the other hand. Yeah. No, the Deathclaws definitely, they do seem to have attacked on their own. Either that or they wandered in once the attack had already happened. So again, you can assume that either they attacked the Securitrons at the gate and came on in, or maybe they were even drawn in by the sounds of the attacking, although they were kept out of the Quarry Junction by all the sounds that were there. So it's hard to tell exactly what's going on with this. I'm hoping we'll get a little bit more information on that, but we may not. I mean, specifically, like, the little bit of information we've gotten about that is the one guy who was Shotgun Jeff or something like that. The bartender at the Atomic Wrangler, who's just like, oh yeah, got a new boss there. It was once the NCR, then the Legion, then House, and then now we've got giant lizards in there. Don't tax me, giant lizard. Yeah, it's possible that... No, but here's the thing. We do know that House did get the platinum chip because the one Securitron that they find within the Sunset Sarsaparilla factory right before they find Thaddeus and his kids, that Securitron had the Army Man face on it, which is something that only comes when they get the platinum chip, I believe. But regardless, let's keep on going through here. So yeah, they go off to go deal with the Deathclaws. And then we get back to under the strip, where we get back to Lucy, who's basically dealing with the fact that she's kind of joined her father, at least temporarily here. Again, puts on this yellow dress and goes off to dinner, passes the global comms room, which becomes important here in just a minute. And we get into them having dinner together. And specifically, again, there are the oranges on the middle of the table there. I'm wondering where they got these oranges from. Like, is there supposed to be some sort of orchard here? Again, or is this maybe they've got some sort of weird cold storage program which can keep food perfectly good without it having any sign of degradation or anything like that. So the missile that fired was so sad. It looked like a bottle rocket. Okay, so we go along here. And so, yeah, Hank is still eating with his hands cuffed. And they're basically talking about eating mashed potatoes. Now, Lucy loves mashed potatoes. Norm didn't like him as much. And everything seems to be going pretty well until the old ranger comes up here to start pouring water, which basically, by the way, excellent first aid work there, because he no longer looks like his head was punctured by a stapler earlier that day. So, what beats upgraded house Securitrons? I mean, it's not like they're invincible. They're definitely more difficult to kill than the original Securitrons, but they're not invincible. Let's see here. Yeah, maybe. Food synthesizers we see in the Sierra Madre. It's possible. So yeah, she asks him a question like, do you remember when we first met? And he's like, oh yeah, earlier today. And she's like, no. How about when we met on the hilltop? Do you remember the NCR? And he doesn't. And so Hank dismisses him. NCR on the strip, Legion intercepting NCR near Camp Karen, pushing the forces out of Camp Gulf, robots. Huh. Norm, that skeleton in the bottom of the pool. Something, yeah. Deathclaws come doing. Yeah, no, it's entirely possible that that's what happened there. I do hope there are more NCR forces around. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, so Hank goes to get a pie, and yeah, Lucy was like freaking out about the fact that this guy doesn't remember the NCR, and Hank's like, oh, the NCR, it's just like the Legion. And so he burns himself. She comes over to let him out of his handcuffs, and she's like, oh yeah, you know, one side, it's like, they're like the same thing, right? You got one side that's crucifying people, murdering people, enslaving people, and the other side that she says, and I will agree, I'm not thrilled with her dialogue here, where she says that the other side is vaguely problematic, because like it's a very 2010s, early 2020s word, problematic. You actually don't see that used that much in the past, and I would think it kind of feels like it dates the show a little bit, but and again, she has a view of the NCR that's not in keeping with the reality of the NCR. She has a view of the NCR that has been given to her like through the scant little views she's gotten of the ruins of the NCR, the occasional people she's met of the NCR, but she doesn't know the problems that the NCR had, which like are, by the way, on by no means on the same level as what the Legion was doing and stuff like that. But like the NCR definitely had its problems to where they were draining all the water out of the reservoirs. They basically were to the point where people weren't owning land anymore. Everything was owned by Brahmin barons. There was definitely corruption and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, her view of it is the little bit that she's heard about the NCR that's not great is basically what Hank's just told her right here, which is high taxes, expansionism, and like foreign policy that people didn't agree with. So yeah, that is literally all that she knows about the problems the NCR had. So the fact that she doesn't think that there's anything that they did that was wrong, then yeah, it's obviously going to be something where she's got a strange view of it. So let's see here. Security, everyone she's in the NCR. Continue controlled more of the north there. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see, because we don't really know what happened. She experienced the ghoul choosing sides, though. Yeah. No, the ghoul definitely chose the NCR. Alright, so yeah, she ends up handcuffing her father to the oven, taking his Pip-Boy, and she runs off to go turn off the mainframe. And this is really, I think, the first time we see Hank actually looking angrily at Lucy. Because he knows he can no longer control the situation. Because he's definitely been controlling the situation the entire way through. The fact that the Legionary and the Ranger came in at the exact moment that Hank was getting ready to, like, pretend to basically leave with Lucy was entirely something where he had scheduled that so that that would happen at the same time, so that she could see what happens if you let these people go without being controlled. Ghoul probably chose the NCR for time. Yeah, maybe. I think it's also potentially just the case that it's one of those things where you live 200 years and you start to have a different perspective on factions from moment to moment. But anyway, so yeah, Lucy runs off, and then we get back to Norm, who's now being untied by Claudia, and he says we got to go do something, and they run off to the radio room, and he starts trying to call Hank's an Enclave plant. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he is part of the Enclave, but Norm tries to call Hank. tries to call Lucy, and we end up hearing his voice over the comms at the NCR facility under the strip. So I think what's going to happen here, because, okay, we get Lucy running off to get to the mainframe. We get him trying to figure out what's going to happen to the Vault 33, and that's when the buds return. So I think what's going to end up happening here, because, and I should have gotten a shot of it, basically he squares up with them. I think what's going to end up happening is that Hank is going to have managed to escape from the oven, and as he's running to go after Lucy, he's going to hear Norm calling on the radio, and he's going to go in and start talking, because I don't know how else Norm escapes this situation where the buds show up to basically kill him. I mean, we'll see what happens, because we still have one more episode this season. We'll see what happens with Norm. But my guess is that what's going to happen is that Hank is going to hear his son on the radio and is going to come in and like basically answer the call, which is going to be one of the only things that I could see keeping the buds from killing Hank. Is actually, or sorry, from killing Norm, is that they're going to be able to talk to one of the higher ranking buds. Norm's dead. Yeah, quite possibly. Kyle MacLachlan's doing an excellent job acting. Yeah, he's been doing great. Power gangs are absorbed by the cons. It seems quite possible. I mean, that's one of the canonical outcomes, is that the powder gangers under Samuel Cook become great cons. So, next we get to Steph and Chet's wedding, where they're here in front of the vault getting married. Again, this is Chet basically a day after learning that he was getting married. Stephanie's glowing here. Chet has no idea what the hell's going on, and cannot say I do marry you. And so he basically is like, oh look, we got witnesses here. Stephanie's getting pissed off with him. And so he's like, I think Stephanie's against us, and I think she's behind Woody's disappearance. And she is clearly getting mad. Chekhov's Radroach Farm? Okay, good point. Yeah. It's entirely possible the Radroach Farm in the elevator of the Vault-Tec facility will save them. It's probably the patent chip. It's probably canon that the powder gangers are destroyed. That's also possible. So yeah, he's basically talking about, I found his glasses in our garbage disposal. And he's like, what'd you do with them? I put them back. And so she's thinking she's won this little victory right here. There's a Canadian among us, yeah. Con leader from episode 1, season 2, episode 1 is mind wiped in Hank's vault, by the way. Yeah. The little, that Chinese vault. So Davey's like, oh yeah, let's get back on with the marriage. He's like, no. Because you know what? She's 200 years old, and she's Canadian. And I do love that the vault starts freaking out as soon as they find out that they've got a Canadian overseer. And Steph realizes that basically everything is going to hell here. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking about that. Was that actually the con leader, or was that the son of the flea soup lady? Because I'm pretty sure that was the son of the flea soup lady, now that I think about it. But anyway. So, yeah, the vault's again freaking out. Stephanie realizes she's lost all authority here, and she goes running. And we see her running for her life in the past. She gets into the overseer's office, slams the door as they all start beating on the door from the outside. Yeah, it's possible that Barv is going to come and save him. We'll see. And we got Stephanie basically starting to have a little bit of a panic attack here about the fact that everything seems to be going wrong. And back to New Vegas and the Strip, where Hank and Maximus are heading in here. Flea Soup guy got crushed by Hank. I don't know. Again, I'll have to go back and rewatch that, but I'm pretty sure that the guy that was inside the vault was Flea Soup Lady's son. Oh, he was at the desk of the management vault making mind control devices. Okay, I definitely missed that. Okay. So, yeah, we got... Because, yeah, there was a crushed person before they got to Flea Soup Lady, I think. I don't know. Again, I got to go back and watch it. It was late last year at this point. So, yeah, they come in here and they find a death claw that is eating a death claw. So, yeah, basically the plan here is for Maximus to keep himself in between between the ghoul and the death claws. Deathclaw finishes up his little bit of meat and goes charging up to fight Maximus. Flea Soup son, head blew up. Yes, that's what I was talking about right there. with the go home sugar bomb message. That's a terrible shot right there. I apologize for that. But yeah, Maximus manages to use the blade on his gauntlet to cut the Deathclaw, punches him in the face. I thought that was a pretty good shot. And the ghoul takes this as an opportunity to go head over towards the Lucky 38. Maximus gets knocked back into the car, gets his arm stuck, and that's when the Deathclaw starts going after the ghoul. The ghoul pulls out the Gauss rifle, fires twice, manages to hit the Deathclaw twice, but doesn't cause lethal damage. And that's when Maximus shows up and basically nearly decapitates the Deathclaw. And that's when the ghoul, I think, gives him like the first real actual acknowledgement that he's given him throughout the entire show, where he's just like, you just literally saved my life. Goes over, and Maximus is happy to have done it. And now he squares up with the new Deathclaws that have arrived. Well, got those out of order there. Well, Hank managed, not Hank, jeez, I don't know why I keep calling Cooper Hank, or the ghoul Hank, regardless. The ghoul manages to get the door to the Lucky 38 open, and starts heading inside while Maximus goes to take on the rest of the Deathclaws. I don't know why they didn't continue fighting them together. They would have had a much better shot fighting them together rather than with Cooper going in there by himself. I'm surprised they cannibalize each other. No. But the way they hang out with each other in packs. Yeah. No, you'd think, but it's one of those things where I guess it is like something where once the animal's dead, they gotta eat. So, and they're pretty big, so they probably have pretty high metabolisms. So they gotta eat whatever the hell they can. So yeah, they end up fighting. Maximus uses his blade gauntlet to gauntlet blade, to cut the fingers off this Deathclaw, and they end up fighting. And that's when the Deathclaw slams him with his tail. Jeez, again, these are out of order. Sorry, and throws him right through the gate. Maximus gets up and sees that the gate is now gone. So it's entirely possible. Died on microplastics from the trash can. But yeah, the gate is now gone. So if Maximus doesn't win this fight, the people of Freeside are going to be in a lot of trouble. So yeah, he's like, oh no. Yeah, lizards sometimes eat other lizards too. So we got Hank going up to the... Hank! Jeez Louise. The ghoul. I don't know. The ghoul going up to the penthouse. Comes on in. Basically everything almost looks the way it did the day he came up here before. Obviously there's trash on the floor though. We've also got a no signal on the screen up there. And once he gets down there, there's also this dead Securitron next to the panel. Some people are saying this is Yes Man. I don't know if that's supposed to be the case or not, but regardless. We now see back to the past in Vegas. So you'll notice the courier got the Hoover Dam snow globe. Yep, indeed. So we got, again, Cooper and Barb here with this limo that's just pulled up. They're basically like, okay, to save our family, we got to save the world. And so we got Cooper dropping down the stairs, heading into the penthouse. The last thing we see here in this little bit is he puts his hand on the headrest of House's chair. And then we get to Lucy arriving at the mainframe, using her father's Pip-Boy to open the door. Then we see, again, yeah, there's the Hoover Dam snow globe right there, like you all have been talking about. And did he have a Securitron he used for womanly contact? There should be some there. He opens up this little panel, presses the button, while Lucy's going into the mainframe area. So we got the ghoul, who's now going into House's old cold fusion room. The courier upgraded the security forces and killed House, probably. It seems like that's probably the case. Jane, I think, was her name. We got Cooper getting into the limousine with the Congresswoman and President Krabs. President of the United States there. If this is the last president of the United States before the bombs, he is 100% a member of the Enclave. And so he, again, the Congresswoman, either a patsy or also a member of the Enclave. We got that ghoul getting ready to... Yeah, that is a great tie, isn't it? The black, white, and red, the colors of fascism. I like money, President Krabs. He goes ahead and starts to put the cold fusion diode into the machine. We see him handing over the cold fusion to the president in the past. And Lucy getting into the mainframe, and she sees a head sitting here on this desk. The Congresswoman, and it's her head. Man, oh man. That is a grim image right there. And I do like Lucy's response to that. Oh, Dinah. And, yeah, I got this little scene here where they're smiling at each other. Cooper putting or the ghoul, putting the cold fusion into the cold fusion device here. Ask her the recipe to Nuka-Cola. Yeah. Activates the machine. Behind him, this starts booting up here. She has to remember she knew way too much to be just a congresswoman. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Again, I think she either was a member or she was a patsy. But I'm leaning towards member if I'm being honest. This thing boots up. And here we have Robert House, the real one. Now, I think that what's going on here, and so let's be clear about this. I think House is dead. If you recall from the earlier episode where Cooper Howard meets House, he was basically talking about this will allow me to live on forever as like an electronic representation. So I think what this is basically an AI version of House created by House to live on as him after he dies. So I think that potentially it's the case that when he didn't get cold fusion, he decided to do his whole body preservation thing, and maybe he even had that going as a backup to begin with. But his overall goal seems to have been to create this AI version of himself, to continue living as himself and to continue protecting the city even after the world had ended. So yeah, I am almost certain this is simply an AI version of House, created by House to be him in the aftermath of the end of the world. So yeah. Yeah, and again, the fact that all he had to do in order to come back was have someone put the cold fusion diode into that machine, I mean, by itself means like he's just he's got this one little trigger that would do that. And again, he was planning on getting the diode before the end of the war as it was. Now he's gotten it after, so anyway though. Yeah, we get to the credits here and we have this poster that said welcome to Canada, which people have overwritten with Little America. Sorry, okay, got some stuff here. Who should Maximus's reinforcements be? Coop and House. Freeside with the Ghoulified Kings. Dane's Brotherhood. The Lost NCR Battalion. Culkin's Legion. The Mysterious Stranger. Yeah. I'm hoping we're going to see more NCR forces arrive. Potentially even from Mount Charleston. Let's see here. In the Blue Moon quest, House stops the intrusion from a lady who made Yes Man in 28 seconds. Yes Man just presents House's plan to you. Okay, defense system should be fired up now. I love Little America Boulevard. Yeah, someone is talking about speculated that House, the courier kills is Raffy Silver. Yeah, that's entirely possible as well. That the courier killed Bobby Apartment, as people have been calling him. Home Alone 2. Speaking of Home Alone, unfortunately, I don't know if you all have heard, but Catherine O'Hara, who played the mother on Home Alone, passed away. She was just 71 years old. It's unfortunate. Very sad. Oh, okay, so yeah, there's the Little America billboard here. We also have Crush the Canucks written on this barrier right here. We have road closed, and it said it was always ours on it. Moving on through here, we've got dead Mounties hanging from the entry sign. And along with that, we have Canada having been crossed out, and it's now been replaced by the Big 51. And we got road closed and hours written on it right there. And then we got some T-51 armor right there. And we got another person wearing some T-51 armor right there. I've had someone actually even suggest, I think it was on Reddit that I saw this, that was questioning whether or not potentially the name of T-51 armor was actually a reference to Canada being the Big 51. I don't know if that's the case or not. It's an interesting theory, though, the idea that the government had, or Westech made this version of the armor, the T-51, and basically named it that way to reference the newly annexed territory. I have no reason to believe that that's the case, but it is an interesting theory regardless. So yeah, we get this view here. Now, this is definitely interesting. We've got a very tall city here in the background, so I'm interested as to where this is supposed to be. This border post right here. I've been to Canada a few times, mostly to British Columbia, visited Vancouver a couple of times at least, and I've been up to Whistler, the ski resort up there. Crossed the border from Montana into Canada at least once. Got family that lives in Montana. But yeah, I don't know where this is supposed to be specifically. We got mountains here in the background. We also have potentially some water here, which obviously you got the cities like Toronto and both Vancouver and Toronto. I mean, all the major cities are on water. But Calgary, I mean, I guess, but isn't I thought Calgary was further inland than this, but I don't know, maybe. Um, but yeah, Uranium City, I think, is the name of the internment camp, rather than anywhere in particular. Guessing it's Vancouver or Calgary. Yeah, maybe. Okay, Calgary's pretty close to you. Well, anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on there. So let's talk about what we've got coming potentially, where the storylines all are. In 33, we've got the water shortage. We've got the issue with the inbreeding support group where they are making it so it's basically impossible to conserve water. So then in 32, we've got Steph hiding within the overseer's office with people pounding on the door outside. She's also got whatever it is that's within Hank McLean's case. With 31, we've got Buds that are within the Vault-Tec headquarters in Los Angeles and are basically squaring up with Norm. So we're going to find out what happens there, hopefully next time. Next, let's see. The Brotherhood of Steel, specifically if we're talking Dane. We have not seen anything of them in a couple episodes at this point. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. We also have potentially the Commonwealth coming in, so we'll see what happens with that. Canada could be where Fallout 5 is. My bet as to where Fallout 5 is New York City. And I think that for a few reasons, specifically with Fallout 3 being in DC and 4 being in Boston. Basically almost a midpoint between those those places is New York City. And along with that, they have been basically when you go from 3 to 4, they did a huge amount of tech upgrades in order to be able to do downtown Boston. I would not be even slightly surprised to find out that a lot of this was to get to where you've got the tech to be able to do downtown New York City within the engine. Again, I would not be even slightly surprised to find out that would be the case. I have a long time advocated for for a Fallout game set in Texas, but we'll see. But anyway, so in terms of what the other factions are doing right now, again, the Commonwealth could be coming in for the Brotherhood. So for the Legion, we've seen in the next time thing, we've seen what looks like Culkin's Legion marching on Vegas. So we'll see what happens with that. We got the people of Freeside that are watching the fight between Maximus and the Deathclaws. Let's see here. Sorry, okay, I missed some comments here. You know what? I'll wait for the comments until we get to the end just so I don't lose my train of thought here again. So we got the Ghoul, who's within the Lucky 38 with House. So we'll see what happens with that. We got Lucy, who's now broken into the mainframe and is looking directly into the cloudy eyes of Congresswoman Welch. We've got whatever's going on pre-war with Cooper Howard. We're going to maybe see the end of his career with Vault-Tec next episode. Because there's got to be some sort of consequences for the fact that he stole, again, I think it was entirely a setup, the cold fusion tech from Vault-Tec. I think we're going to see them moving towards the Vault Boy after this. We also know we got Janie and Barb's bodies within the Vault-Tec facility, or at least we got tubes labeled for them. Whether or not they're actually there, we haven't seen that yet. So it'll be interesting to see. Anybody else that I'm missing here? I think that's... Oh, yeah, we got to figure out what's going on with Moldaver. But again, that's just part of the pre-war storyline. If anything comes of that, we'll see it next time. But my guess is that's probably not going to be part of this specifically. Norm we covered. He's with Buds within the Vault-Tec headquarters. So we'll have to see what happens there. Again, my assumption is that Hank's going to end up hearing him calling over the radio and is going to call in, and that's potentially what's going to save Norm. Or potentially Norm will see himself saved by the arrival of the rad roaches from the elevator. No, yeah, I don't think we're going to see Moldaver's ending in this, especially given that Moldaver survived the war, which means that she was frozen. Now, I know somebody was saying earlier that the credit images are not canonical, but we did see in the last episode of last season that there were cryo suites within, I think, the Tops Casino within New Vegas. Or was that where it was? I can't remember. Somewhere within New Vegas there were cryo suites, basically where people could freeze themselves. So it seems entirely possible that Moldaver was frozen in Vegas for a while. So we'll find out. Seen footage of Buds fleeing the cockroaches? Yeah. So maybe that'll be it. All right. So let's see here. Oh, we got the mutant. Ron Perlman's super mutant, and him talking about fighting the Enclave. So we're gonna have to see what comes of that. I feel like there was at least... No, the Commonwealth was the other thing I was thinking about. Moldaver's actually a female Gary. Okay, so let me see here if there's anything else I missed here. They're going to settle all these storylines. They keep adding new ones. Yeah, they do keep adding new ones. That's for sure. Seattle, Vancouver would be good as well. I would like a Pacific Northwest Fallout. Chicago would be interesting as well. Big Canadian location close to New York. Yeah, I mean, Ronto, I believe, is the name that they have for Toronto. Quebec would also be interesting. Let's see. Don't look how they put a ton of NCR stuff in 76. No, keep in mind that anything you see within the Atomic Shop that's not canonical. That's the stuff that's within the Atomic Shop is entirely cosmetic, and it's for the enjoyment of people playing the game. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's actually canonical to the time period. Hoping the Minutemen ending in Fallout 4 was canon, so that afterwards the Brotherhood declared war on the Minutemen for the resources. That'd be interesting. Yeah, like you said, Night Spirit there. Don't think we'll have Moldaver's ending yet. Pre-war ending. Footage of Buds fleeing cockroaches. Number of management vaults were empty. If a Canadian got in, maybe Moldaver got in one too. Yeah, potentially. The tops, okay, good. I'm assuming Norm and his friends will escape with the rest of the vault dwellers, with the latter group circling back to the vaults they came from. Yeah, I'm interested to see what's going, because they've been hinting at FEV, and so I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with that. Was the mutant supposed to be Marcus? I don't know. Again, it's voiced by Ron Perlman. Yeah, and they do have Michael Dorn was the voice of Marcus. I do think it'd be interesting if Michael Dorn was in the show. Although Malcontent on the Discord was talking about, I think it was Malcontent, about the fact that they could bring in Frank Horrigan, which is also voiced by Michael Dorn, so that'd be interesting. New Mutant would be interesting, yeah. So the alternate directors don't use the same actors twice? Yeah, probably not. Because at the same time, Clancy Brown was also in Fallout 1. Let's see. Good. Super Mutant? Yeah, maybe. Klingon Super Mutants. Alright, well, I think that covers everything so far that we've seen. We do have an enormous number of plots to cover, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they draw everything together within this last episode coming up on Tuesday. I'm very much looking forward to this, especially because we, like, just the little bits that they showed in, like, what's coming next time, where you see the head of Congresswoman Welch move. Like, I'm very interested to see what exactly, like, as I'm assuming she's going to talk, but maybe not, but, like, if she does, it'll be interesting to find out a little bit of her story there, maybe if she was willingly becoming the mainframe for the Vault-Tec Vault. That's so freaking crazy. Wilzig as well, the fact that he got the that he for some reason was frozen and then carried the cold fusion diode to the NCR. It's going to be very interesting to see all the stories coming together there. Because, again, some of these factions we haven't seen in a few episodes. The Legion, for example. We've seen Legion members, but not in any way connected to the actual Legion. Other than, again, the one guy right before he gets turned into another office drone. The only head not vested with corporate interests. That's great. Wait, the endings to each episode are not canon? Yeah, again, somebody here said that the credits scene, the credits sections are not canonical. Let's see here. Thank you. All right, So we will see where everything gets us within this last episode. It's going to be very interesting to see all this stuff. No, I don't know that they ever did give a name for Macaulay Culkin's character. They may have, and I just don't remember it. Watching President Krabs get to the oil rig. Yeah. All right. Well, I will see you all next Friday. In terms of stuff I've been working on, I am actually still working on the Aquila City video. I know it probably doesn't seem like that. Oh, good. Well, been good to talk to you. It's been crazy. It's going to be a very long video when it's done. I'll just say that. The amount of work that I've been putting into it, but I'm going to get off now and take my dog because he's sitting here on the floor and he's starting to cry because he wants me to take him for a walk. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's been great to hang out with y'all. Great to talk to you all. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you all next Friday to talk about the final episode. Or who knows, maybe earlier. We'll see. Have a great weekend, y'all. See y'all next time. Let's see.